So I have here one of our YouTube fans, David. Where do you come from?
Aberdeen originally, but I came round from Billericay, Essex.
Okay,
today.
so it's quite far.
Yeah.
So tell me about the story of this Scots pine. It's a Scots pine. It looks quite old, and it's a tall thing, maybe at least a meter long. And we've got this in a semi-cascade pot. So what's the history of this tree?
I found it as a tiny seedling about 28 years ago.
28 years ago, so
Yeah.
you've got a history of this tree. 28 years, that's a long time.
And
You grew it?
I kept it in a pot. I didn't know what to do with it. It's only been in the last couple of years that
So 28 years to get to this size, so
Yeah.
it's quite good. So did you have it in the ground all the time or in a pot?
in a small pot, and then I put it in a large pot.
So it's grown quite a
Yeah.
lot. Okay, so you've done some pruning because I noticed there's a major cut over here.
Yeah, it was much taller.
Much taller.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is obviously a side branch which you took out, so it became that. Now, what style were you trying? It looks like a literati style. There's so many styles, but are you happy with it, or do you think there's room for improvement?
Definite room for improvement.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that is the attitude we should all take.
Yeah.
However good we are, even my trees and other masters' trees, they can always see improvement, or someone else will have a different vision, different view.
Yeah.
So this tree, I would say, certainly has a lot of room for improvement. If we look at the tree dispassionately, if you can stand there and get a full view speed, it's leaning that way. Let me see what other disposition would improve the tree a little bit. Now, if I were to tilt the tree a little more, I noticed that you did some attempts at wiring. I think they could be better wired, so I'm going to take a lot of this wire off eventually. So it has the makings of a literati, which, as you know, is one of my favorite styles. It's certainly one of my favorite styles. But I think it is a bit too rigid. There's no fluidity in that.
Yeah.
A lot of the branches are very angular, very
straight.
gangly,
Yeah.
and we need to get more proportion to it. So I think straight away this angle improves it a little bit, not so leaning. And I'm just trying to see. This seems to be an odd branch. It spoils the line. I think this, if it came down this way, might improve it. This is okay there, this is okay there. I think straight away, you've got to give me a free hand, all right?
Yeah.
All right, so what do you think we could eliminate to make it more interesting?
Some of the straight branches.
Which one? Point out the one that you want to cut off.
Well, that one's too straight.
Okay,
These ones are too straight as well.
okay, all right.
But
I'll take some of this off for a start. Save on doing the wiring. That's brought it more into proportion because now it's more of a conical shape.
yeah.
Straight away I've improved it a little bit, okay? The branches are tending to spring upwards. They are better if they are made to hang downwards like that.
Yeah. I
Hang
was trying
downwards.
to bend them a bit with weights.
I also feel that the tree doesn't need to be that big. This is a potential leader because if it goes that way, there's no movement. Now I brought it back. You see, I can get a curve like this. This could be the main line of the tree like that. So I've introduced some movement there. Let me look at the tree from another side because one shouldn't always look at the tree from one side. There's always possibilities looking at it another way. Now that I've said it, I think this tree looks better from this side somehow. I know you've been training it. Is that the front that you've been training? As the front?
I've had it sort of viewed from both sides.
Okay, I've got another idea. It may frighten the life out of you. The famous bag trick.
Yeah.
Now if I were to do this, you got a shorter tree and a more elegant tree, like that. What do you think?
Seems quite drastic. You said you'd frighten me.
Have I frightened you?
Yeah. I trust you then.
In fact, I know a lot of other masters who work on our trees, and I give them a free hand, and they tell me the same thing. It's easier when you work on someone else's tree, it's not your tree. It's easier to take that decision. I'm not saying it in a casual way,
Yeah.
that because it's not my tree, I don't care. But I really think, I have some bystanders here. What do you think of that idea?
Take it out.
It's better. There you are.
Okay.
3 against 1.
Okay.
3 against 1. Let's look at it again to give you a final say. It's still up to you to say yea or nay. You didn't expect it, but it's more in proportion.
Yeah.
It'll fit in your car easily.
Yeah.
You know, you won't struggle in the car.
Yeah. Okay.
There's too much going on. There's so much busyness
Yeah.
that your eye cannot concentrate on one thing. Your eye is looking at all sorts of other things, whereas this is a nice, simple, elegant line, more movement. I may leave some of this for you to make into gins, although the gin is the back. You gin those pieces there. So that bit you can gin. But this we will certainly keep as the main tree. So if you're agreed on that, I will bring my long loppers out,
Okay.
and either you can have the pleasure or I can have the pleasure of cutting it off. Maybe.
I'll let the expert do it.
Okay. So perhaps we will. These will all be ginned. Save us wiring it. Oh! If you have a problem, cut it off. This is a case in point. So that will all be ginned. And this is now your very elegant, simple tree. Because this tree has a tall, literati feel to it, it is nice and sparse, suits it, and pine suit it admirably. Now the lines are simple, less busyness. Your eye can concentrate on the beauty of the tree. Simple, elegant lines. Okay, so we will just undo some of these wires because it's the wrong grade. And then we will set about putting some thick pieces of wire, and we will change the shape of the tree. Okay, so stop the video and we will undo the wire, and within another 10-15 minutes we will change it completely. So we removed the wires on this tree, and I'm going to just do some rudimentary gins to this, because when you get home, David, you can complete it yourself, have the pleasure of doing the gin. So you're just making some cuts like this, and then stripping it back. You can use all sorts of tools. You can use branch cutters, branch splitters, so that it doesn't look stubby. Like that. Take your time to strip it back.
Yeah.
Strip it back like that and make them into points. I won't do that, you can do that. Alright? So let's look at the design again. As I said, this is a nice looking front. So looking from this side, the tree will be more impressive, so that the gin doesn't distract. I'm not a great lover of gins when they're not appropriate. If you feel it's inappropriate, you can always remove it, but at least I've kept the option open for you should you find that the gin enhances the design of the tree.
Yeah.
Always look at gins from that point of view. Don't do gins just for the sake of doing gins. This is the fault of most people because they like to practice on a new technique, so they gin just for the sake of doing gins. So as I say, that's an option open to you. Now we're going to change the disposition of the branches to they come more this way. Some of them are alright, so I'm going to use a pretty thick piece of wire and get quite an interesting design from it. As I said, I don't always have a fixed idea of what the tree will turn out to be. Certainly not in the detail, because I like to let the tree dictate the design. As you work and wire the tree, the design will suddenly come to you. Okay, so this branch can come back a little more like that, so I will put a piece of wire to do this. And this I will change somehow. I can either make that the leader or make that the leader. So let me take a piece of wire. Now this one, because this is a branch on its own, we always talk of the two branch principle. But in this instance, because this branch and the next branch is so far apart, it's no point trying to do a two branch. So I'm going to just link it to this to anchor it, and then wire it to twist that branch. So you came for a new pot.
Yeah.
But I don't think it needs to be repotted. Pines are better kept in a pot for a long time. This pot is quite suitable. Maybe you can change the angle of planting. I'll leave you to do it when you get home. But the planting angle could be changed like this, like what we've got it like this. Huh?
Okay.
So, knowing what grade of wire to use is always the critical thing. If you use the wrong grade of wire, which I noticed on some of your other branches, you haven't used the right grade of wire, they're not effective. And that comes with just experience. So you get to know what grade of wire will do what particular job you have in mind. So because I'm using this as the front of the tree, I don't want the branches to go back. I want it to come back more this side. So like that. All right, that's not too bad. I can probably change that. Now we'll do this a bit. Now using the same grade of wire, I'm going to straddle from here to there. So this is a classic case of the two branch principle coming into action. Always remember to stick to the two branch principle as far as possible. I know that the bottom branch there, we could not use the two branch principle, that's why I use that. But where you can, it's always much simpler to use two branch principle. So I will just give that a little bit of anchor and then move on to this. What do you think is the most difficult decision for you, knowing how much to cut?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think so. A lot of people agonize over it. But in a way it's good because it gives you time to think before you rush into any particular action. find that getting another person's opinion always helps with your own trees, because if you live with a tree for a long time, you get used to that mindset.
Yeah.
So you need someone to look at it from a different perspective, and that will give you a new insight into the tree. Always very important to remember that. Now this one can go up. I think that would make a very nice leader.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do another piece more. Again, looking at that tree, the more I look at it, the more I feel that that gin may not be appropriate. But I'll leave you to judge, because that is your tree. So when you put a double collar wire, make sure that they're very close, touching each other.
Sure.
Feed the tree a little more this year,
Okay.
but don't be in such a rush to remove all the candles, because I think you've been pruning it a bit too hard.
Okay.
Leave more foliage to grow to make the tree strong again.
Okay.
You like that litrate now? See?
I do.
Huh?
It looks amazing.
Huh? Okay, this you can do a little more then. Do that a little bit. And we should be almost done.
So should I incorporate that wound into the gin?
I will see.
Or just leave it?
You can try the gin, but personally I don't think you need the gin,
Okay.
because I find it distracting. If it distracts from the overall look of the tree, it doesn't add anything.
Yeah.
It may detract, detract means subtract from the beauty.
Yeah.
That's just my view, not everyone may agree with it. You may need to remove the small wires to get a better feel, but I'm just showing you what
Sure.
the effect is by redirecting the branch in another direction. So you can wire these flat,
Yeah.
but you see the overall design is like that.
Yeah.
You can try the gins for what it's worth. You know, these ones you can refine.
Yeah.
Make short little gins there, short gin there. Maybe that gin sticking up there is not so nice. Maybe take it off completely. Got this bit sticking up there. Maybe shorten it a little. Again, it's ruining the line. Unfortunately, if the gin is at the back, it's not so noticeable. So that is the look of the tree, and you should pot it if you pot it at this angle. Use the same pot, no need to buy a new pot.
Okay.
And you've got the makings of a nice literati. So this breaks the rule of literati, because usually literati branches are at the top. In this case, we've got literati branch, the first branch low down, which is quite different. So I hope you've enjoyed this.
Definitely. Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.
So we took quite a lot off.
Yeah.
Quite a lot off. I reckon we took half the tree off to make it shorter, more elegant, less confusing. There you are. That makes a nice tree. Okay?
Fantastic.
All the best.
Thank you very much.
This video is not finished yet. We decided to pot it up at the correct angle. So let's have a look at this tree. It came out of that great big rectangular semi-cascade pot. Is an ordinary flower plant pot, but looking at the root ball, there's such a lot of root. I need to get it down to this level. So rather than tease it, don't laugh at me, but this is perfectly safe to do. I call it cutting cake. So I get one of my old silky saws. I don't use new ones in case it blunts the blade, and we slice off the cake. Look at that. Rather than spend your time teasing it, we'll just do this. Perfectly safe to do. We're now almost in the 3rd week in February, and provided you protect the tree after you've repotted it, it is quite safe to do. So look at that. A bit of wire there. I think you were tying the tree in. I used to do this in clubs and people laughed at me, but all my trees did well. So all that cake can come off. We don't need that. Didn't have to spend so much time doing this. So we will now tease away here, and I think we can get it into a much shallower pot rather than put it back in that same pot. Okay, so that if you remove some of this top for me and a little bit of this, I will find a pot. Okay, so I couldn't resist repotting the tree because it was crying out to be repotted. So let me just refresh. I took that great chunk of the base of the root ball off because this pot was at least 12 inches deep, 12 inches or more. So taking off a couple of inches didn't really matter, and hardly any root was cut. That's all the root that was cut. And David had potted his tree in a general multi-purpose compost with a lot of pine bark. I can see the pine bark there, and pine bark is extremely good. If you go into a pine forest, what are the trees growing in? They're growing in the leaf litter and pine bark. So you're just replicating nature. So what I've done now is I've added some akadama and kyodama to the original soil, and here we are. Let's take it to the turntable and let's have a look at the tree again and see what it looks like. So we've done a complete transformation in less than an hour. Much more manageable tree. So that is what we took off, and this is a tree which literally has just 3 branches. As I said, I'm not particularly enamored by the gin at the back, but you can play with it and see if you like it. If not, just cut it off or just leave a very short stub of a gin. So we've got a classic literati. Just about some design pointers. That low branch, David was telling me that at one point you thought of cutting it off, did you?
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't, because I tell you why this tree needs it. If you were to remove that bottom branch, can you imagine that tree without the bottom branch? It wouldn't look quite the same. Somehow, because the tree leans to the right, The low branch on the left adds balance to the tree. You see
Yeah.
how I'm thinking, huh?
Yeah,
So it
definitely.
adds balance to the tree, it makes it more complete. So if you can imagine the tree just with the top, if you can take that bag again and we cover the bottom branch and we see how the tree looks without the bottom branch. It wouldn't be the same. If you just cover the bottom branch,
Yeah.
you see it's not the same.
Yeah.
Now let's see it with the bottom branch. You see what a difference that
definitely.
makes. Okay, so that helps it. So in less than an hour we did that. You can refine the little pads much more, develop the leader, and I would shorten that gin much more, but let's see how you get on with making the gin. So there you are. I hope you've enjoyed it, David.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Peter.
all right.
Amazing.
Great,
Amazing.
I enjoyed it too. So
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.